So have you ever like went to work and then start feeling like, your job is wearing you down or it's time for you to move on from it? It's kind of like relationships, man. Like sometimes a relationship gets stale and repetitive or it's not really benefiting you. It's time to go, man. It don't matter if it's a marriage or if it's a girlfriend, boyfriend. Yeah, well, it's time to go. It's time to go, man. And that's the same thing with these jobs. And I keep seeing videos like that, man. People keep on saying they tired of their jobs and they feel like they working for nothing. And when you really think about it, man, you are really working for nothing. Like when you really sit back and think about a job, right? I'm not talking about a business. A business, most people when they start businesses, it's something that's fulfilling to them. It's something that they chase the dream and then now they're fulfilling that dream. They created something. So that's their passion. So starting a business and doing a business is a totally different thing from working a 9 to 5. A lot of people, there are some people that have 9 to 5s and they like their 9 to 5. And I think that's a small fraction of people that like their 9 to 5. Like if you a plumber or like an HVAC tech, you just like that kind of stuff. And some of those people, they're in it because they love it, and they also working because they're trying to branch over, start their own business out of it too. But if you just have like a 9 to 5, like a dead end, or even sometimes like cubicle jobs, man, this shit's just like it's just real depressing. And then like when you start really looking at what work is, it is a form of slavery in so many different ways, right? Because it's like, okay, you actually getting free labor. They're getting free labor from you when you think about it, right? Because most jobs, you don't get paid every time at the end of your shift. You go home empty handed. You don't have no money, right? So you gotta wait 2 weeks to get a paycheck, or at best you wait a week. But still, within that time frame, I'm not getting paid. I gotta wait, especially the 2 weeks. You be like, damn, I gotta wait 2 weeks. I gotta every 2 weeks. I gotta wait for something for money when bills or whatever, which I'm getting to in a minute. Bills and still is due every day. I gotta eat every day, not every 2 weeks. I gotta put gas in my car every day, not every 2 weeks. See how crazy it is? But then on that aspect of the bills, when you work, man, and you just start looking at shit, you be like, what am I really working for? You think about it. You do the same thing every time you get your paycheck. Most of it goes to other people. It don't, it goes to utility companies, water bill, electric bill. Then it goes to your rent or your mortgage. Um, Obviously you gotta eat, and sometimes you gotta like dial back how much you spend on food to keep yourself filled up, just so you can sit up there and pay a car note or pay your mortgage or that high ass rent or pay this crazy ass high electric bill that's going up for everybody. It's like every other. It's like damn, It's like you have no room for. You can't really do nothing for yourself. A lot of people's in that situation, man. It don't even matter how much you make, and that's a trap too. Just because you making a lot of so-called a lot, you're not really making that. I make 100,000 a year. No, you don't. You make like you and the IRS is making $100,000 a year. You making like 60 of that or 7. You making about 80 of that. They making 20 of that. The mafia, the government mafia, the state and government, and at sometimes the local mafia. So that's a trap. That's an illusion within itself too, right? And then you give your money away to all these people. They got their hands out every 2 weeks or every month. They got their hand out like this. And then you got to turn around and do the same thing over and over again. And you be like, damn, what? I can't even go out and really enjoy myself the way I want to. I'm off 2 days out of a 7-day week. You ever thought about that too? How come they don't just pay you? They don't just double your pay but lessen your work days? How come they don't just pay, instead of making 25 an hour for 5 days of work? Why they don't just give you 50 some an hour for like 2 days of work? Thought about I don't know, people not getting that shit. It's like, okay, the same amount of money that I'm making, why can't you give me that, compile that into like 2 days of work, and I'm making the same pay? I don't know if y'all really understand what I'm saying, but it's like they're designed to wear you down, bro, on purpose. The job is like you inside of a system where it's designed to break you down. So all of the systems around you, so the mini systems within that big system could benefit from it. They benefit from you being worn out. You know what I mean? The job, they benefiting because they squeezing labor out of you. They're giving you what you're not worth. And then when you get sick and old and beat up, your back start hurting, or your knees give out. Now the medical people is making money off you. You see what I mean? And then you can't afford to cook a healthy meal, so you run into the store buying garbage food. Now the food industry is leeching off of your life. It's crazy, bro. I was sitting up there last week thinking about that shit. I'm like, yo, it's just crazy how all of this shit is literally wearing people down, bro. That's why people don't want to work no more. I never was mad at people when they said they don't want to go to work. How could you be mad because somebody said they don't want to go to work, bro? I never understood that. And then they call you lazy because people don't want to work for somebody else is lazy. That's how fucked up we have become. You know what I mean? That's being lazy because you don't want to give somebody else labor. You don't want to make somebody else rich. That's being lazy, bro. Nah. I never looked at life in that lens. I always looked at everything different. Like, no. You're crazy if you think you have to go to work for somebody. And then when you ask somebody, hey, why do you go to work? Guess the first thing they say, I gotta pay bills. They never say I go to work so I can enjoy my life or I can feed myself correctly. The first thing that come out their mouth is, I go to work so I can pay bills. That's how bad they got us. They got everybody brainwashed, beaten down into this system and embedded in this garbage. So it's like, how do you get out of it? Got to figure your way out of it, man. Try to branch off and start your own stuff. And another reason why people get all of it, jobs is a trap too, because you get a good job, so-called good job, it's like a trap. You get making this so-called good money, and then you go out and you take out expensive car loans. Then you go get this expensive house that's not even paid off. You mortgaging the house, and then now you got to keep the job, because if you lose the job, now you might lose all that stuff. You see what I mean? So just like, it's crazy. That's why I always say best thing to do is just buy everything cash, so you don't have to owe nobody anything. You ever thought about if you bought your house with cash? You really could, if you wanted to go to work, you could just get a little shitty job and just pay your utilities, and that's it, right? But they designed it to where these houses cost so much, most people can't just go buy a house with cash no more. And then now the banks is there to dangle a carrot in front of you and like, yeah, you can get this $450,000 house with this mortgage for 30 years, right? And then they trap you in that shit. You know what I mean? It's crazy, bro. Can you imagine if houses was like $10,000, man? Everybody would have a house, but they don't want they don't want everybody to have houses. That's the thing. That's why I always said it was better to have a house, even though that comes with this bullshit too. It's still better than renting an apartment. I always said that. And as long as these houses be the prices that they are, the people that rent, that's why the rents is shooting up, because they figure, well, yeah, these people can't get into a house. They're not going to be able to save for a down payment for a house. So we got the right, and now we're going to trap them, and now we can raise our rents because they got to have somewhere to live. It's easier for us to come get an apartment. Easier for you to get an apartment than it is to get a house. And in all theory, that's really not true. Because, getting a house, it seems like nowadays it's more hard to get a fucking apartment. All the shit that's attached with these apartments, man, than it is to get a house. You get a nice sizable down payment and your credit is decent, you can get you a house, bro. Just understand that comes with that 30-year slave mortgage, you know what I mean? But other than that, besides that, I know people that's there, they saved a little bit of money And they just bought them a house and they just renovated the motherfucker, man. And they living without a mortgage right now. I know a few people like that. So if that's the way you gotta go, I think that's the way to be, man. To eliminate that mortgage shit, buy you a car, fuck that car payment shit. You don't want to have to owe nobody nothing, because that is the trap of a job. You think you getting into, like, you really doing something, but you not. You trapping yourself because you think that job allows you to get all of this stuff that you normally can't buy on your own. And then when you lose your job, something bad happened in your job, and they lay you off, now you stuck, and now you gonna go into debt when they take this and they take. It's a fucking big trap, bro. You know, just don't fall for the fucking schemes anymore, man. Do better, man. If at all possible. That's all, man. Don't let these jobs weigh you down. Because once they weigh you down to a point where you all broken up and used up, they just gonna toss you to the side, and then they just gonna find somebody else to replace you. That's all it is. You're just a number to them. They don't care about you. And that is why people decide to do their own thing. It's more, you get more self-worth out of starting your own thing rather than a job that just got you there as a number to be replaced. Anyway, it's Rebel World News, man. You know what it is. Drop comments and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch y'all later.